Okay, I want to show you how I made Summer 91. It's one of my biggest songs. It's had 150 million streams on Spotify and it was multi-platinum selling around Europe. Play it to you now. Okay, so the idea behind this song was to make it sound nostalgic, sound like it was from the 90s, and just trying to make it sound old school. So everything that I did, sound choice and the mixing tips I'm going to show you, basically very intentional to get that sound. So I'll show you the drums. So what I did here was I ran the kick, the snare and the clap into one bus and I ran it through a Tau DAC. Basically what I was trying to do there was make it sound like it was coming from a drum machine and going through some of that old like 90s hardware, which I don't own, but I wish I did. So basically what I'm doing here is it's adding a little bit of drive, taking a little bit of high end off of the top, and it's reducing the quality of the audio, which is intentional because then it makes it sound old school. If I was doing like a super clean EDM or like a different style of record that I wanted to be super bright, probably wouldn't do that. But for this record, it was great. It kind of just is what I needed. Same kind of concept with the hi-hats. So the main thing I did here is run it through an RX 950, which is again another emulation of an old school piece of gear. So what I did here was I reduced the audio bandwidth, so it's actually reducing the quality of the sound intentionally to give it that kind of feeling that it's old. I added the input, I pushed the input up a little bit just to give it a bit of drive, but it's nothing crazy. Like I added some saturation later on. So I'll show you before that, I just did a simple stereo widening. Mainly pushing up the high end above 6,000, and then I added some saturation with a decapitator. Nothing crazy, just pushed it up to 1. But I pretty much do this on every single channel in my songs because it's just a nice way of like tightening everything together. In terms of the style of the song, I wanted it to be a old school house song, so the choice of the samples is really important. Going in knowing what people used back in the day obviously really helped make this song. So I'll just play you some of the sounds. We had the clap, hi-hats, and then the snare. This drum machine was used a lot in the 90s, so it gives you that proper classic American house sound. Let's move on to the bass. That was a Moog mono synth, which basically was recorded mono. If you have Ableton, you can use a utility to make your sound mono. I would do that on the sub especially. But with this sound, it's not like a great sound on its own, but in context with the rest of the song, it works really well. It just sounds old school. It's not like I didn't want to have like a super modern, like clicky bass that would have kind of changed the vibe of the song. So the piano is obviously a massive part of the song. So with this one, I used the Korg M1, which is basically the synth that everyone in the 90s used. It's on all the old school house records. So that was like a very important choice to use this sound over another one. It's just the M1 house piano. I actually have a Korg M1 back in the UK. It's at my parents' house. But for this, I actually used the plugin because I'm out in my studio in LA. So with the piano, did a very simple EQ, just adding a little bit of treble, taking out a little bit of the bass, and scooping out the bottom. I used the glue. This glue compressor is really sick. I got it years ago. I don't even know when I got it, but I've been using it a lot more for compression. It's really good. So as you can see here, not like crazy amount of compression, but enough. And then a little bit of saturation on top. This time pushed it to 2, used the decapitator again. Turn the output down to 5 because obviously it was too loud. I really recommend this Soundtoys plugin. It's definitely my favorite for mixing. Yeah, and then the same with the synths as well. All the synths are from the M1. So it was like trying to limit my choice of sounds and using something that they would have used back in the day to create this song gives it more authenticity and just kind of doesn't make it sound super modern, which again was intentional. So you have the string. That's like a classic string from the M1. You have the choir. And then you have a pad here. There is some acid on top, but the pad is from M1 as well. So with the acid, you can pretty much use any plugin to make an acid sound, like Serum, whatever. I actually use this plugin. It's by Arturia. It's really good. It's really simple. It is just an acid synth, so it kind of does what it says on the tin. With the acid sound, everyone used that in the 90s. Obviously, like acid house was huge. So again, it's like choosing the right sounds to create the song was super important with this song. So it's actually very simple. It's probably one of my most simple songs, but it did the best out of any of my other songs. So maybe there's something in that. With the effects, I wanted to keep it really simple and just use white noise, and I'll tell you why. So I think if I had used a load of like modern kind of risers and all these sounds, I think it would have sounded good, but it maybe would have made the record sound more modern. And I was really in the headspace of like just trying to make something sound old school and like a little bit crap, but good. But yeah, so yeah, the kind of main point of this video is to show you that going into the studio with a concept is always a really good idea. And then understanding the kind of history behind the kind of style of music you want to make, which then gives you the knowledge to choose the samples and the sounds right. I will break down the vocals. I'm going to do that in another video. I'm going to try and get the singer in, Annika, to go through how we wrote the vocals together and then how we edited her vocals. In terms of mastering, I'm also going to do another mastering video. I use Ozone. I pretty much use Ozone for every song that I master. It's super easy to use. And I don't know, you just kind of just have to use your ears. You can watch a million videos on how to do things, but at the end of the day, you just have to use your ears. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if it was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do another video on something else. And yeah, I'll see you soon.